and on your side. WBRC Fox 6 News starts with breaking news.
That breaking news we continue to follow. Carly Russell now facing 2 misdemeanor charges days after admitting she was never kidnapped on I-459 in Hoover.
Russell turning herself in to authorities earlier today and bonding out. The Hoover Police Department now working with the Alabama Attorney General's office on this case as they continue looking for answers in her disappearance more than 2 weeks ago.
As we know, actions can have consequences, and that's why we're here today.
We don't see this as a victimless crime. There are significant hours spent, resources expended as a result of this investigation, and not only that, but the many men and women who are civilians that wore those yellow vests on a hot afternoon and evening looking for someone they thought was abducted.
In a moment, we're going to break down the charges she's facing and the new reaction we're getting tonight from Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall.
Plus, a look at how leaders are pushing to change how the state handles cases just like this. But first, let's get to your weather and that dangerous heat that will be with us throughout the weekend.
Yeah, we have another First Alert weather day tomorrow. Wes, what do people need to keep in mind for the weekend?
Well, need to keep in mind we're going to have heat index levels 100 to 106 over the weekend. But on top of that, the actual air temperature could get close to 100 degrees. And you get this kind of heat, and for this type of stretch that's going to continue into early next week. I know it's tough for the AC to even keep up in this kind of hot weather, so just make sure you might want to consider closing the blinds during the day, take some steps, maybe hold off on doing the laundry until the evening because of this hot weather that's on the way. You can see the heat index 100 to 105. Isolated PM storms will be possible. Some of those could help us out in a few areas, and where those storms pop up, they're going to be intense. Some of those storms today, we had frequent lightning, some gusty winds, up to 2 inches of rain in some spots, so watch out for those pop-ups tomorrow. Right now, radar has quieted down. We don't see any storms out there tonight, so we've seen those in for the day, but they will start popping up tomorrow around 2 o'clock. We'll walk you through that hour-by-hour forecast, help you plan out the weekend coming up in First Alert Weather.
All right, Wes, let's get back to that breaking news and the charges now facing Carly Russell.
Yeah, Lauren, Hoover Police today announcing 2 misdemeanor charges against her. She's charged with 1 count of false reporting to law enforcement and 1 count of falsely reporting an incident. Now, both of those are Class A misdemeanors and each carry a $1,000 bond. As we told you, Russell posted bond and was released earlier today. Now, these charges coming just days after that statement Carly made through her attorney saying she was never kidnapped and there was no baby on the side of I-459 on the night of July 13th. Tonight, investigators still trying to figure out where Carly was during those 49 hours she was missing and figure out a possible motive. In a new statement tonight, we learned Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall is now vowing to seek restitution from Russell if she's convicted on those charges. He says his office's role is not just to present the facts in the case, but also to develop an argument for possible restitution for investigative costs.
And also, during today's press conference, Hoover Police Chief Nick Durzis voiced his frustration over why Russell is only charged with misdemeanors and not felonies in the case. He wants state lawmakers to change that law.
I can tell you that I will be contacting our state legislatures on behalf of law enforcement in Montgomery and asking them to look at this law applied to these facts and urge them to add an enhancement to current legislation when somebody falsely reports kidnapping or another violent crime.
Hoover City leaders also telling us they'll look at their own resolution to ask the state for tougher penalties. And along with that issue, one topic that keeps surfacing in the aftermath of this hoax is what impact it could have on kidnapping cases in the future.
Many fear that it could harm the chances of people of color being safely found. Our Taylor Pollock spoke with one Alabama lawmaker who wants to pass a bill that would put a spotlight on those people should they go missing in the future. Taylor, tell us more about it.
Yeah, Lauren, Catherine, this bill is sponsored by Representative Wandalyn Gavan, and it would put in place something called an Ebony Alert, similar to a Silver Alert for missing seniors or an Amber Alert for missing children. An Ebony Alert would be issued for Black people who fall under specific guidelines. Representative Wandalyn Gavan says that across the country there are disparities when it comes to Black people who go missing, and she's not alone. Harvard University, the National Institute of Health, and countless other institutes and organizations have found evidence that people of color may not receive as much attention as people, especially women, who are white, a phenomenon commonly referred to as missing white woman syndrome. Carly Russell's fake kidnapping garnered a lot of notoriety. Representative Gavan says the hoax is an embarrassment to the dozens of families across the state who still have missing loved ones, and that this bill needs to be filed now more than ever.
I think it's very important. I'm just hoping that she didn't do, but because of what happened, that it doesn't taint the process. You know, we're dealing with across the aisle negotiations every time we go into that building. I think it probably would have been easier to get the bill out before this happened. But who knows? You know, I fight for a lot of different causes, and I'm still going to fight for this one.
Representative Gavan intends to file that bill the beginning of next week. Lauren.
All right, Taylor, thanks. We're learning more about a shooting that killed one man over the weekend in Birmingham's Railroad Park. Police identifying the victim as 28-year-old Morgan Martin. Daquan Wilson is charged with murder in Sunday's shooting. Wilson was arrested at the scene. Police say the two got into an argument, which led to the shooting. And tonight, a Birmingham man is facing charges accused of beating a man at a gas station on 8th Avenue in Wylam. Lawanza McCormick is charged with murder in this case. Birmingham police say McCormick assaulted Cedric Reese on July 12th. At the time, Reese refused medical treatment, but the next day he was found unresponsive in his home and he later died. An autopsy showed his death was the result of that assault.
Some new information tonight. Prosecutors say they aren't going to take former jail escapee Casey White to trial in August for the murder of Connie Ridgway. They say they don't see a point in moving forward now, since Casey White is already serving a life sentence. He pled guilty earlier this year to escape charges as part of a deal that dropped the other murder charge he was facing for the death of Vicky White. The pair led authorities on a nationwide manhunt for 11 days early last year. Well, some good news tonight for Pelham Police Officer Elizabeth Minter. She is now out of the hospital nearly a month after being hit by a car. The accident caused severe injuries for Officer Minter when she was thrown several feet and knocked out of her boots. In a statement from Officer Minter released by Pelham Police, she described the process as long and painful, but that everything is healing on track. She says she has about 9 weeks until she can try to start walking again. Police Chief Brent Suggs says Minter's story is an inspiration for everyone.
Elizabeth chose to join law enforcement, or specifically, she had worked with the Shelby County Jail, but she joined the enforcement ranks of our department less than a year ago. And in a time when we are struggling in law enforcement to retain and recruit people to be in this profession. So her decision to do that and her decision that she wants to continue in law enforcement is a testament to her character.
And the chief says their department has identified the driver who hit Officer Minter. They expect to have additional information in the next month.
And tonight, Alabama State Senator Tim Melson is in a larger hospital overseas, but still in critical condition after suffering a heart attack in South Korea. He was on a recruiting trip there when it all happened. We're told he fell to the floor in a coffee shop. Fellow Senator Arthur Orr administered CPR. Melson's wife and family traveled to South Korea today to be with him.
Well, tonight is the deadline for filing official challenges against the state's new congressional map. The plaintiff in the case that led the Supreme Court to force a new map says this new version doesn't give black voters the opportunity to elect a candidate of their choice, but Republicans say it does.
According to the court, black people had an opportunity to elect someone of their choice, but we were not allowed to consider race when drawing the lines.
Just can't rely on demographic numbers alone. You have to show that you can create a map that takes race into consideration, but that also comports and pays attention to traditional standards and principles of map making.
The next hearing on the new congressional map is August 14th.
And President Biden is in Delaware tonight, just hours after traveling to Maine to talk about the economy and what he calls his Bidenomics plan. While talking to a textile factory today, he says he believes his agenda is creating a boom in manufacturing, investments, and jobs. He also signed an executive order that supports domestic manufacturing in the U.S.
This is how it works. Federal agencies research and fund development to encourage innovation. This executive order dictates that those agencies have to prioritize domestic manufacturing when it comes time to bring those inventions to market. They can't go abroad, they have to look here.
The president also making headlines tonight for a statement concerning his youngest grandchild. President Biden and the First Lady shared their thoughts about the daughter that his son Hunter had with an Arkansas woman back in 2019. The couple saying the situation is not a political issue, but a family matter. The president's youngest son has been in a contentious legal battle with the mother of his daughter. He settled that case last month.
All right, it's feeling like 70s and 80s out there tonight. All the storms have dissipated for today, but we could see some pop-ups tomorrow, plus first alert weather days for extreme heat. I'll show you just how hot it's going to get.
All right, and we are learning more about the new charges facing former President Donald Trump tonight and getting new reaction from those on Capitol Hill.
Also, how UAB doctors are recognizing cancer survivors and the clinical trials that help them enter remission. We're getting new reaction tonight to those new charges former President Donald Trump is facing in that classified documents case.
And that's coming as he could face charges related to January 6th. Reporter Griff Jenkins has more from Washington.
Donald Trump wasting little time blasting special counsel Jack Smith's case over alleged mishandling of classified documents. On social media today, quote, "This is textbook third world intimidation by rabid, lawless prosecutors." In telling Fox News Digital, in an exclusive interview, the charges were ridiculous, and our country is suffering from DOJ abuse. The superseding indictment includes 3 new counts of obstruction and willful retention of national defense information. The allegations focus on claims Trump asked Mar-a-Lago employees to erase surveillance video, just days after the FBI subpoenaed the security footage. While it's unclear if any video was wiped, the indictment cites a conversation with the resort's property manager to another employee. The boss wanted the server deleted and asked, "What are we going to do?" The property manager, Carlos de Oliveira, has now been charged with obstruction and making false statements.
What it looks like to me is they are trying to find someone to flip on Trump.
The new indictment also indicates Smith's team now has a sensitive document Trump allegedly displayed during a book interview at his New Jersey estate in 2021 about U.S. military plans to attack another country, which sources have said was Iran. The indictment says Trump returned the top-secret document to the federal government in January 2022, but he told Fox News last month the document did not exist.
You're quoted on the recording saying the document was secret.
I said, no. I said I couldn't but that wasn't a document, Brett. There was no document.
The dramatic new allegations add to the former president's legal jeopardy as he awaits a possible second federal indictment over his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. The grand jury today, again, taking no action.
That was Griff Jenkins reporting. We're told there are preliminary security preparations underway in the event Trump is indicted by that grand jury in D.C.
And new tonight, Russian leaders are vowing a harsh response after they say they intercepted a Ukrainian missile that targeted, quote, residential infrastructure. It happened in this city right here, close to the border between the two countries. Russian authorities say fragments of the missile fell on the city, damaging several buildings. And some fantastic news tonight for a Louisville officer injured during a mass shooting at a bank in April. After more than 100 days in the hospital, Officer Nicholas Wilt was discharged today. He was shot in the head while responding to that scene. Wilt had only graduated from the police academy 11 days before that. He's undergone brain surgery, suffered pneumonia, and spent months learning how to walk and talk again. And tonight, UAB doctors are recognizing cancer survivors, but specifically 9 patients who owe their cancer's remission to clinical trials.
And this event recognizing those patients was hosted by the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center. Each patient was awarded a Medal of Honor from the director of the Cancer Center. The director says it's important for you to know what opportunities are out there if you or someone in your family gets cancer.
So to me, this event is about honoring these individuals, but it's also about letting the public know that if cancer strikes, they have a National Cancer Institute designated, an NCI designated cancer center right in their backyard, the O'Neill Comprehensive Cancer Center, which is the only one in the state where if they're evaluated and they come, we'll learn about whether, not only about standard of care treatment, but about whether there might be a clinical trial opportunity that could be of benefit to them.
He also says the O'Neill Iron Strong Award is not only a dedication to the patients, but also to their strength and commitment to their treatments.
And now, your first alert weather with WBRC Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt.
And we have more first alert weather days for the heat and poor air quality going through the start of next week. But an improvement out there temporarily tonight here at Lake Tuscaloosa. We're at 77. We had some rain in the vicinity and some heavy rain down around Taylorville earlier tonight. Looking at the view from Oak Grove and Talladega County, we're at 78 degrees. And looking back in towards the quarry there off to the south, a little bit hazy, 72. And this is the current temperature right now on Straight Mountain. Yeah, looking good there. Straight Mountain with 72 degrees out there tonight. You're one of the cool spots, and those temperatures overnight will drop off into the 70s. There's going to be a little bit of fog around in a few areas, so if you maybe do a little fishing tomorrow, going to get out on the lake early in the day, just watch out there. There could be some fog around early on in some spots, and just be careful. And but try to get an early start tomorrow if you can. And if you were planning on mowing the lawn, doing a little work around the house, it's temperature-wise, I think we'll be close to 90 degrees by 11 o'clock in the morning. So that window is going to be brief, but no storms at the moment. We did have some pop-ups earlier. That's a live look at radar. Let's take it into future mode here. New data just in. You saw that as we look at the setup, the models, well, showing that forecast is going to stay on track through tomorrow morning. You can see we're dry heading out the door with temperatures in the 70s, but by 11 o'clock, stop it right there. Look at Pell City close to 90, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Utah. So a first alert for those 90s coming back by 11 o'clock in the morning. And then we're looking at several hours with temperatures in the 90-degree range. And it looks like over the next 10, well, counting yesterday, it's going to be about a 10-day stretch here. Daytime highs are going to be at or above 95 degrees, and that's certainly a much longer hot spell. Look, it gets hot in Alabama, know that, but as far as the weather goes around here, we're dealing with above average temperatures for that long. I know it's going to be quite impactful. You can see by 4 o'clock tomorrow, the model data not showing a lot of relief, maybe a couple of pop-ups showing Shelby County. So if you have plans around Lay Lake tomorrow, that's one area. Wilsonville, Columbiana. I want to make sure you're checking your Fox 6 weather app tomorrow afternoon. Could have a pop-up storm, but that goes for every location. These storms are kind of chaotic and random where they do pop up. And even though we had some rain today, it looks like tomorrow that coverage is still a bit isolated there in the afternoon. But the main window here for rain's about 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock, which means if you're heading out to Freedom Fest, also we'll need to keep an eye to the sky. Any storm delays, however, will be temporary. It's not going to wash us out tomorrow afternoon. If we do get some storms, they won't last long in this environment. Speaking of storms, we have anything brewing out in the tropics? Well, there's a disturbance, about a 70% chance that this may develop. So over the weekend, if you see there's a new system that we're tracking in the tropics, no worries about the Gulf of Mexico. This thing's way out here right now over the Atlantic. But we will be passing along plenty of tropical updates, of course, actively monitoring radar for you. And we have that first alert weather day for the heat. Be careful out there. I mentioned earlier, do what you can to help out that AC. If you have blinds, keep those closed. May need to adjust the thermostat. It's could get close to record highs there Sunday and Monday. And don't forget, you can hear my forecast on your favorite iHeart radio station across the state.
All right, Wes, back to school with WBRC. A number of events this weekend will help families in need to get their students prepared for their first day in the classroom.
That's right. Each year, the Birmingham Zoo partners with Birmingham City Schools to collect supplies for students in need. And if you're planning a trip to the zoo tomorrow, well, you have an opportunity to drop off donations as soon as you walk in.
All school supplies are welcome, but we specifically want to get stuff for like keeping classrooms clean, like Clorox wipes, tissues, hand sanitizer.
Now the donations will then be distributed through Birmingham City Schools.
Here is your Hyundai Sports Report with the WBRC Fox 6 Sports Team.
Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow will likely be out for several weeks because of his calf injury. That is according to the team's head coach. Burrow was carted off the field during Thursday's practice. Head coach Zach Taylor told reporters today he's happy with the progress Burrow was able to make during practices this month, and he looks forward to working with him more when Burrow is ready. It's still unclear if he'll be ready in time for the Bengals season opener against Cleveland on September 10th.
A new audio tonight reveals there was not a doctor or a nurse on scene when Bronny James, the son of LeBron James, suffered cardiac arrest earlier this week. CNN obtained that 911 call made right after Bronny collapsed during practice at USC.
Get next to him with the phone, okay? Get next to him. Get next to him, please, with the phone. Okay, I need to find out if is there a doctor on scene with them or a registered nurse?
No, there's no doctor on scene.
Okay, help is already on the way. Okay, get next to him, please.
Okay.
With the phone. All right, now listen. So we're already on the way, sir. And
Wow, Bronny James was released from a hospital in Los Angeles yesterday. Experts say it's hard to tell exactly what his recovery will look like until more is known about what caused the cardiac arrest.
The NASCAR Cup Series is back in Richmond this weekend for the Cookout 400. It's one of only 5 races that remain in the Cup Series regular season, with Richmond being the last short track on the schedule. Kevin Harvick won last summer's race at Richmond, earning his 60th Cup Series victory. This Sunday's race starts at 2 p.m.
And the UAB Blazers will be back in action next week when they start fall football camp. They'll be back on the practice field starting on Monday. They're gearing up for their first season as part of the American Athletic Conference. The first game is August 31st at home against North Carolina A&T. We have a link to their full schedule right now on our WBRC News app.
Well, new tonight, Gadsden State Community College announcing the head coach of the new softball program. Ryan Clark is coming to Gadsden State from Sylvania High School. He's coached baseball there since 2017. And along with coaching softball at Gadsden State, Clark will also teach physical education. He starts next week.
New concern over the age of lawmakers on Capitol Hill after 2 separate incidents this week. We'll take a closer look at that next.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell tonight says he will continue to serve as the GOP leader in the Senate after that situation earlier this week where he froze at a news conference.
That incident and another one involving Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein are bringing more attention to how age plays into politics. Reporter Chad Pergram has more.
A string of how long is too long? The most powerful leaders in America, no match for the great equalizers, health and age.
Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office?
81-year-old Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell freezing at a news conference. 90-year-old California Democrat Dianne Feinstein bewildered at a committee meeting.
Yeah, just say aye. Okay, just aye.
Age stalking the 80-year-old president.
And I'll go ahead and roll strong.
I think that it's legitimate to discuss the age of the president who's running for re-election.
The White House dismisses this.
He beat Republicans in 2020. He beat Republicans in 2022.
At the Capitol, there are whispers in the marble corridors that McConnell isn't the same since missing 6 weeks after suffering a concussion from a tumble.
He should tell us if something bigger is going on.
McConnell's health episodes triggered subtle political jockeying among those who could prospectively succeed him.
Senator McConnell should run for leader in the new Congress.
Now, I mean, the new Congress is 18 months away. I'm trying to figure out how we get the defense authorization bill off the floor.
Democrats are equally anxious about Feinstein's health and their narrow majority. Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called for Feinstein to resign after she missed months due to shingles. Some politicians hang on too long.
I believe there should be a criteria of fitness to serve, of cognitive testing or cognitive assessment.
But that's unconstitutional. The only requirements for the Senate, 30 years of age, and a resident of the state you're representing. And McConnell insists he's staying. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
All right, hot weather this weekend, highs back in the mid to upper 90s. The heat index will top 100. It looks like the actual air temperatures by Sunday and Monday could get close to 100. A few pop-up storms, and that pattern continues through the middle of next week. First alert weather days. Be careful out there, Catherine. And it looks as though tomorrow, if you get that big ice cream cone, you better...
You better get some napkins. I was going to say,
don't mess around, okay?
It looks like a really good report card behind you, Wes, but not the greatest forecast. Fox 6 Saturday starts at 5 a.m.
TMZ is up next. Thanks for joining us.